Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. Tiffany stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. Hi, Aunt Claire. I know this might be a shock, but this is me, the real me. I hope you can understand and accept me as your niece. Claire stood silent for a moment, her eyes wide as she took in the scene before her. Then, to everyone's relief, a warm smile spread across her face. She set down the wine bottle and opened her arms. Oh, my dear, she said, her voice full of emotion. Come here and give your Aunt Claire a hug. Tiffany rushed forward, practically falling into Claire's embrace. As the two hugged, Madge felt tears pricking at her eyes. This was the acceptance and love she had hoped for, the support that Tiffany so desperately needed. When they finally pulled apart, Claire held Tiffany at arm's length, looking her up and down. Well, I must say, purple is definitely your color. You look absolutely lovely, Tiffany. Tiffany beamed, her earlier nervousness melting away. Thank you, Aunt Claire. I was so worried about telling you. Claire shook her head, squeezing Tiffany's hands. My dear, you never need to worry about being yourself with me. I love you, no matter what name you go by or how you dress. You're still the same wonderful person I've always adored. As they moved to the dining room for dinner, the atmosphere was light and joyful. Claire asked thoughtful questions about Tiffany's journey, listening attentively as Tiffany and Madge explained the process of self-discovery and transition. Over dessert, Claire raised her wine glass in a toast. To Tiffany, she said, her eyes twinkling. May your life be as beautiful and authentic as you are. As they clinked glasses, Madge felt a surge of hope. If this was how their first revelation had gone, perhaps the road ahead wouldn't be as difficult as she had feared. There would undoubtedly be challenges, but with love and support like this, she knew Tiffany could face anything. After Claire left, promising to stay in touch and offering her unwavering support, Tiffany collapsed onto the couch, emotionally exhausted, but happy. Madge sat beside her, pulling her into a side hug. You did it, sweetheart, she said softly. I'm so proud of you. Tiffany snuggled closer, resting her head on Madge's shoulder. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. Thank you for always being there for me. As they sat there in comfortable silence, Madge reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the day Timmy had first come into her life as a foster child, to the moment Tiffany had found the courage to be her true self, every step had been leading to this. It wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. The next morning, Madge woke to the sound of soft music drifting up from downstairs. Curious, she put on her robe and made her way to the kitchen. There, she found Tiffany, already dressed in one of her new outfits, swaying to the music as she flipped pancakes on the stove. Good morning, Mom, Tiffany chirped, her face radiant with happiness. I thought I'd make us breakfast to celebrate yesterday's success. Madge smiled, touched by the gesture. That's very sweet of you, dear. It smells wonderful. As they sat down to eat, Madge noticed a determined look in Tiffany's eyes. What's on your mind, sweetheart? She asked. Tiffany took a deep breath. I've been thinking, I want to write that letter to Ruth today. And I was wondering if maybe we could also call Dr. Reeves to schedule that appointment. Madge reached across the table, squeezing Tiffany's hand. Of course we can. Are you sure you're ready? Tiffany nodded firmly. I am. After last night with Aunt Claire, I feel stronger. Like I can face anything. That's wonderful, Madge said, her heart swelling with pride. Why don't we eat our breakfast and then we can work on the letter together? After that, we'll give Dr. Reeves a call. After breakfast, they settled in the living room. Tiffany sat at the desk with a pen and paper, while Madge sat nearby, ready to offer support if needed. For a long while, the only sound was the scratch of pen on paper as Tiffany poured her heart out onto the page. Finally, Tiffany looked up, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I think it's done. Would you read it for me, Mom? Tell me if it's okay. Madge took the letter, her heart aching at the vulnerability in Tiffany's voice. As she read, she felt a lump form in her throat. The letter was beautifully honest, filled with love and understanding for Ruth's struggle, but also a clear explanation of Tiffany's journey and her hopes for the future. "Oh, sweetheart," Madge said, wiping away a tear. "It's perfect. Ruth will be so moved by your words." They sealed the letter in an envelope, both feeling the weight of its importance. Then, taking a deep breath, Madge picked up the phone to call Dr. Reeves's office. The receptionist was friendly and efficient, quickly finding an available appointment for the following week. As Madge hung up the phone, she turned to Tiffany with a smile. "All set for next Tuesday at 2 p.m. How do you feel?" Tiffany's face was a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "A little scared," she admitted. "But mostly, I feel like I'm moving forward. Like I'm finally becoming who I'm meant to be." Madge pulled her into a hug. "That's exactly what you're doing, sweetheart, and I couldn't be more proud of you." The days leading up to the appointment with Dr. Reeves were filled with a nervous energy. Tiffany spent hours researching, making lists of questions she wanted to ask about the next steps in her transition. Madge did her own research, wanting to be as informed and supportive as possible. The morning of the appointment, Tiffany was up early, fretting over what to wear. Madge found her standing in front of her closet, surrounded by discarded outfits. "Nothing feels right," Tiffany said, her voice tinged with frustration. "I want to look, I don't know, professional, but also like me." Madge stepped into the room, surveying the clothes strewn about. She picked up a pair of dark jeans and a soft feminine blouse in a pale blue. "How about these?" she suggested. "Comfortable but put together, and the color brings out your eyes." Tiffany's face lit up. "That's perfect, Mom. Thank you." As they drove to the doctor's office, Madge could sense Tiffany's nervousness. She reached over, squeezing her daughter's hand. "Remember, sweetheart, this appointment is for you. Don't be afraid to ask questions or express your concerns. Dr. Reeves is here to help you." Tiffany nodded, taking a deep breath. "I know. It's just... it feels so real now, you know? Like we're really doing this." "We are," Madge confirmed. "But only at the pace you're comfortable with. There's no rush, okay?" In the waiting room, Tiffany fidgeted with the hem of her blouse, her eyes darting nervously around the room. Madge placed a calming hand on her arm, offering a reassuring smile. When the nurse called Tiffany's name, using her chosen name without hesitation, Madge felt a surge of gratitude for the respectful environment. They followed the nurse to an examination room where Dr. Reeves was waiting with a warm smile.
"Tiffany, it's good to see you again,"
Dr. Reeves said, shaking both their hands. "And Madge, always a pleasure. Now, I understand there have been some changes since our last appointment?" Tiffany nodded, her voice slightly shaky as she began to explain the recent developments in her life. As she spoke, Madge watched Dr. Reeves carefully, relieved to see nothing but understanding and support in the doctor's expression. "Well, Tiffany," Dr. Reeves said when she had finished, "I'm glad to hear you're in a supportive environment now. That's crucial for your well-being as you continue this journey. Now, let's talk about your current hormone regimen and any adjustments we might need to make." The appointment lasted over an hour, with Dr. Reeves patiently answering all of Tiffany's questions and addressing her concerns. They discussed the effects of long-term hormone therapy, potential future surgical options, and the importance of mental health support throughout the transition process. By the time they left, Tiffany was practically glowing with excitement and relief. "She was so understanding," she gushed as they walked to the car. "And did you hear her talk about the potential for full transition? It feels so possible now." Madge smiled, feeling her own sense of relief and hope. "It is possible, sweetheart, and we'll be there every step of the way, making sure you're healthy and happy." As they drove home, Tiffany's excitement was palpable. She chattered about the information Dr. Reeves had given them, already making plans for her next steps. Madge listened attentively, her heart full of love and pride for her daughter's courage and determination. That evening, as they sat down to dinner, Madge broached a subject that had been on her mind. "Tiffany, dear, I've been thinking, now that we've seen Dr. Reeves and have a clearer plan for your medical transition, maybe it's time to think about some of the legal aspects." Tiffany looked up from her plate, her fork pausing midway to her mouth. "Legal aspects? You mean like changing my name officially?" Madge nodded. "That's part of it, yes. There's also the matter of updating your identification documents to reflect your true gender. I've done some research, and while it can be a bit of a process, it's definitely doable." Tiffany's eyes widened, a mix of excitement and apprehension crossing her face. "Wow, I hadn't even thought about that yet. It sounds kind of overwhelming." "It can be," Madge agreed, reaching across the table to squeeze Tiffany's hand. "But remember, we'll tackle it together, just like everything else, and think how wonderful it will feel to have documents that truly represent who you are." A slow smile spread across Tiffany's face. "You're right. It would feel amazing to see Tiffany on my driver's license, or to check F instead of M on forms." "Exactly," Madge said, smiling back. "We can start by looking into the name change process. Once that's done, it'll make updating your other documents easier." As they cleared the table after dinner, Tiffany suddenly stopped, turning to Madge with a serious expression. "Mom, there's something else I've been thinking about." Madge set down the plate she was holding, giving Tiffany her full attention. "What is it, sweetheart?" Tiffany took a deep breath. I think I'm ready to tell my friends. About being Tiffany, I mean. They've noticed I've been distant lately, and I hate lying to them. I want them to know the real me." Madge felt a surge of pride at Tiffany's bravery. "That's a big step, honey. I'm so proud of you for feeling ready to take it. Do you have a plan for how you want to tell them?" Tiffany nodded slowly. "I was thinking maybe I could invite them over, like for a movie night or something. That way I can tell them in person, but also in a safe environment where you're nearby if I need support." "I think that's a wonderful idea," Madge said, pulling Tiffany into a hug. "We can set it up for this weekend if you'd like, and remember, no matter how they react, I'll be right here for you." As they finished cleaning up, Madge watched Tiffany, noticing the mix of nervousness and determination in her daughter's posture. She marveled at how far they'd come and how far they still had to go, but with each step, with each act of bravery, Tiffany was blossoming into her true self. And Madge was honored to be there, supporting her every step of the way. The days leading up to the weekend were a flurry of activity. Tiffany spent hours on the phone, inviting her closest friends over for the days leading up to the weekend were a flurry of activity. Tiffany spent hours on the phone, inviting her closest friends over for what she casually referred to as a catch-up movie night. Madge could hear the slight tremor in her voice as she spoke to each friend, knowing the weight of what was to come. On Friday evening, Tiffany paced the living room, straightening pillows and rearranging snacks on the coffee table. She wore a soft lavender sweater dress, her hair falling in gentle waves around her face. Madge watched from the doorway, her heart aching with a mixture of pride and concern. "Sweetheart," Madge said gently, "come sit down for a moment. You're going to wear a hole in the carpet." Tiffany looked up, her eyes wide with nervous energy. "I can't help it, Mom. What if they don't understand? What if they don't want to be my friends anymore?" Madge patted the spot next to her on the couch, and Tiffany sank down, leaning into her mother's embrace. "Listen to me," Madge said, stroking Tiffany's hair. "These are your friends. They care about you. Even if they're surprised at first, give them a chance to process. Real friends will stand by you." Tiffany nodded, taking a deep breath. "You're right. I know you're right. It's just scary." The doorbell rang, making them both jump. Tiffany stood, smoothing down her dress. "That'll be Emily! She always arrives early." Madge squeezed her hand. "Remember, I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. You've got this, sweetheart." As Tiffany went to answer the door, Madge retreated to the kitchen, leaving it slightly ajar so she could hear if Tiffany needed her. She busied herself making a fresh batch of popcorn, trying not to eavesdrop, but unable to help overhearing the excited chatter of young voices as more friends arrived. For a while, things seemed normal. Madge could hear laughter and the sound of the TV as the group settled in to watch a movie. But about an hour in, the atmosphere changed. The TV went quiet, and Madge could hear Tiffany's voice, soft but determined.
Guys, there's something I need to tell you. Something important.
Madge held her breath, her hand hovering over the popcorn bowl. There was a moment of silence, then Tiffany's voice again, stronger this time.
I'm transgender. I've known for a while now, but I'm finally ready to live as my true self. My name is Tiffany now, and I hope you can accept me for who I really am. The silence that followed seemed to stretch on forever. Madge's heart raced, her maternal instinct urging her to rush in and protect her daughter. But she held back, knowing Tiffany needed to do this on her own. Finally, a voice broke the silence. It was Emily, her tone filled with emotion. "Oh, Tiffany, thank you for trusting us with this. Can I give you a hug?" The sound of movement followed, then what Madge assumed was a group hug. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, feeling tears prick at her eyes. The conversation in the living room grew animated, filled with questions and exclamations of support. Madge could hear Tiffany's voice, growing more confident as she explained her journey to her friends. After a while, Tiffany appeared in the kitchen doorway, her eyes shining with unshed tears of relief and joy. "Mom," she whispered, "they understand. They accept me." Madge pulled her into a tight hug, her own tears falling freely now. "Of course they do, sweetheart. How could anyone not love you for exactly who you are?" Tiffany pulled back, wiping her eyes and smiling. "They want to meet you properly, as Tiffany's mom. Is that okay?" Madge nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "I'd be honored." As they walked back into the living room together, Madge saw Tiffany's friends in a new light. These young people, with their open hearts and minds, represented hope for a more accepting future, a future where Tiffany could truly be herself. Emily jumped up, hugging Madge tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for being such an amazing mom to Tiffany." The others echoed the sentiment, surrounding Madge with a warmth that brought fresh tears to her eyes. As she looked around the room at these young faces filled with love and acceptance, at her daughter standing tall and proud, Madge felt a profound sense of gratitude. This was just one step on a long journey, she knew. There would be challenges ahead, people who wouldn't understand, battles to be fought. But in this moment, surrounded by love and acceptance, Madge allowed herself to bask in the joy of watching her daughter truly come into her own. As the night wore on, the atmosphere in the living room shifted from intense emotional conversation back to the lighthearted camaraderie of a group of friends. They decided to start another movie, this time with Tiffany cuddled up between Emily and another friend, Zoe, who had draped a supportive arm around her shoulders. Madge quietly excused herself, heading back to the kitchen to give the young people some privacy. As she busied herself cleaning up, she could hear bursts of laughter and excited chatter drifting in from the living room. The sound warmed her heart, reminding her of how far they'd come. Later, as the clock ticked past midnight, Madge heard the front door open and close several times as Tiffany's friends began to leave. She emerged from the kitchen to find Tiffany hugging Emily goodbye, the last of her friends to depart. "Text me tomorrow, okay?" Emily said, squeezing Tiffany's hands. "And remember, we're all here for you, no matter what." As the door closed behind Emily, Tiffany turned to Madge, her face glowing with happiness. "Mom, can you believe it? They were all so amazing. Even Jake, who I was really worried about, said he was proud of me for being true to myself." Madge pulled Tiffany into a warm embrace. "I'm not surprised, sweetheart. You have wonderful friends who care about you deeply, and you were so brave tonight. I'm incredibly proud of you." Tiffany yawned, the emotional toll of the evening finally catching up with her.
I'm exhausted, but I don't think I'll be able to sleep. I'm just so happy. Why don't we have some tea? Madge suggested. We can talk more about the evening if you'd like. They settled at the kitchen table, mugs of chamomile tea warming their hands. Tiffany recounted the evening in detail, her eyes shining as she described her friends' reactions and the questions they'd asked. Zoe even asked if she could go shopping with me sometime, Tiffany said, grinning. She said she's always wanted a girlfriend to shop with, and now she has one. Madge listened attentively, her heart swelling with each story of acceptance and support. As Tiffany's words began to slow, punctuated by more frequent yawns, Madge gently suggested it was time for bed. You've had a big day, sweetheart. Get some rest. We can talk more in the morning if you'd like. Tiffany nodded, standing up and stretching. She paused at the kitchen doorway, turning back to Madge with a soft smile. Mom, thank you for everything. I don't know how I would have gotten through all of this without you. Madge felt tears prick at her eyes once again. Oh, Tiffany, you're stronger than you know, but I'll always be here for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.